cops because they feel, hey, if I call the cops, I'm not going to be seen for an hour. You know, and it's a lot of cases like that are true just because of just low staffing, because, you know, we don't have a lot of people trying to be cops out here. Maybe it's just because of the Pueblo area, but whatever the case may be, I mean, there's a lot of truth to that, you know.
Well, you got 220 cops, city cops, for a population of 107,000.
Right.
So you can't really be everywhere all the time solving everybody's problems. The only thing you could do is have a presence everywhere and then tackle the biggest issues. You have to prioritize and just tackle the biggest issues.
Right.
So, again, I guess if a cop, okay, you're the mayor and a cop kills somebody, are you going to put charges on that police officer and just put them through our fair judicial system so that way they get acquitted, since if they were the hero that they were supposed to be, would you?
No. I'm going to look at every aspect of that shooting. Every single, whether it's shooting, stabbing, I don't know what it is, but, I mean, it's going to be just like anybody else. You know, just because you wear a badge or you were in the military or you've been to college for 10 years, it doesn't matter. I mean, we're all human beings.
Right.
And that's still a homicide. That's still a life that was taken, and it's still a family that's got to grieve for the rest of their life. They're going to go through the same process as everybody else. There's no greater treatment just because they wear a badge. If, you know, I mean, if it comes out that, and there was proof that they were defending themselves, you know, just like anybody else, you know.
Well, then they're a hero. They're a hero, and they did their job. So I'm a police officer, and I've got my body camera on me, and I am an upstanding public servant, and I'm going around, you know, solving situations, and I was in a scuffle. I would think that if I've always been upright and my character has always been good, then the camera and the jury would acquit me. They would see that I did right, I did good, and, you know, I guess humans do make mistakes, and if I made a mistake, then I feel like I would want to go through that system. I would want to go through that process, especially, like you said, if there's a dead body, that's, you know, God, that's, you can't really get much worse than that. And I guess that's why I ask about the rape, murder, steal, and violence thing, is because we live in a society where apparently if you have a badge and you do shoot somebody, you don't get charged with a crime. They bury it, and the grand jury buries it, or no charges are brought up, and then the city gets sued for millions. So we as the taxpayers have to pay for these mistakes, but it doesn't seem like there's a check on the police. We have the three branches of government to check each other to stop tyranny, but I'm not for sure which branch is checking the police, if any of the branches are checking the police, and if the police are just checking themselves, and that's absolute power, and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Right. See, the thing about it is, and I'm going to bring back the military too.
Yeah.
You know, even when I was in the military, there's good people and there's bad people everywhere. It doesn't matter if they wear a badge, a military uniform, a priest jacket. It doesn't matter. You know, if a person's intentions are bad, it's bad. They're just human beings, just like everybody else. When I was in the military, I had guys tell me, you know, we had females that worked as mechanics too, because I was a diesel mechanic, and I heard people all the time saying, "Hey, she can't do what the rest of us can do because she's a woman." Or there was plenty of racism. I mean, trust me, they had people talking about black people, people talking about Hispanic people, people talking about white people, and we're all supposed to be, you know, this big brotherhood in the military. And it just brought me back to the realization that, hey, you know, we're all people, just like police officers.
There's a lot of good things about the military. You all got rules of engagement. You also have escalation of force. So it's like you have something to actually listen to. But it seems like with protocol, if a cop is just scared, I got scared, so I shot him. And then we're like, well, okay, he got scared. That's good enough for us. That's not good enough for me.
What I will say is, if I become mayor of Pueblo, Colorado, I'm going to do everything in my power. I mean, I'm not going to brush anything under the carpet, I guess you can say. I'm going to do, that's a family that's affected. And I mean, think about the families in Pueblo that's been here for years. There's some people out here that have 30 cousins and you know, 20 brothers and sisters, and their whole culture has came from Pueblo in southern Colorado.
Right.
You know, so all of those people are affected by a shooting. You know, I mean, or whatever it is. And I'm not going to sit there and let something like that ride. You know, if somebody got scared and popped somebody, and now this person's dead, so the whole family's full of grief, and it affects the entire community. I'm going to do everything fairly, number one. And number two is, it doesn't matter who you are. I don't care if you're president of the United States. that you should go through the exact same process that anybody else has to go through.
So tell me if you would agree with this. So you're the mayor, and the mayor has executive authority, but they also have the power of the purse, so you could cut the funding. So you have influence too in terms of who's hired and fired. So would you keep a police officer that murdered in cold blood? What about someone who?
There's no way in hell I do that.
What about someone who raped or stole or used violence against an innocent?
You know, if I had the power of the governor, you know, or
you do. I think so.
There's certain things you can do. You use everything in your power to make some change for the better. That's my philosophy on things. If your heart has to be in the right place.
My thing is
there's a lot of different things you can do as far as it's ridiculed, you know, rapists and stuff like that. There's certain things that I can't even really talk about sometimes. As far as, I guess they call them chomos out here, child molesters.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Right.
You know,
right.
You know, rapists hate it. And I mean, think about what they do with sex offenders nowadays. Some sex offenders, and they can put signs in the yard. I am a registered sex offender. I would do the same thing with rapists. I mean, you have to publicly disclose what you have done on a sign in your yard.
Yeah.
So you should be on a list where people can look you up and know, hey, there's a rapist, somebody that raped somebody living right there in that house. You know, so that's how I would go about it. Honestly, I would want the public to know. You know, and that's one of my biggest things as mayor. I don't care if I'm elected. I don't. What I'm doing is I'm putting myself out there, and I'm saying, hey, if you make me mayor, you know, I'm going to promise to bust my ass for this city, and I will do anything, you know, that a good-hearted person would do. I'm not going to lie to the community. I'm going to tell them straight up what's going on. I'm going to let them be informed, to be transparent about everything. You know, for instance, they've been working on I-25, you know, up there by City Center Drive.
Yeah.
They're moving dirt from one side to the other. It's been going on for, 3 years now? I mean, go on the news, tell the community of Pueblo, hey, this is when we think it's going to be done.
Yeah.
You know, if it doesn't get done in that time frame, go back on the news.
Right.
Hey, our bad. We're going to change it to this date, so you guys are wondering what's going on.
Right.
That's what I want to be with every subject in Pueblo, everything that I touch.
Good, because I would like that. Just to inform me, give me all the information that I could possibly get.
Yeah.
The question.
It's everybody's rights. They shouldn't be questioning anything. This is a town. Pueblo means town in Spanish. There's a lot of good families here. There's
people. It means people too. It means people too.
Yeah. I mean, you have to do the best you possibly can. I just know that I'm one of those people that cares. I've been there, done that. You know.
I believe you. I believe all those things.
I saved the woman in the military that was going to get raped by another soldier.
Nice.
You know.
Good.
I saved her. You know, I saved her from doing that. I've helped homeless. The same homeless I'm telling you about in North Elizabeth, there's a kid that's been hanging out there for the last 3 or 4 years. When I see him in Wendy's, I buy him a meal. I don't say, hey, are you going to use this money to go do something else, do something wrong, or blast them.
I stopped a fight.
They have a great day.
I stopped a fight the other day. It looked like a heroin addict and prostitute or something was going at it. They were fighting. I went out there and I stopped it, so I felt good about that. But I felt.
Just doing whatever you can.
Well, he was hitting a woman, and she was screaming for like 5 minutes, you know, and nobody, I was hoping like somebody was going to call the cops or go out and help her, but eventually I was the only person that got up, and I felt good. I didn't really get much out of it, but satisfaction out of doing something good for somebody else.
Right, and that's awesome. I mean, I wish everybody in the world, since I was a kid, I said, I always loved Christmas. And they say, why do you love Christmas? I said, that's the one day in the world that people tend to be nicer on that day.
Yeah, they do. Sometimes Christians are nice.
I wish every day was like Christmas. I wish every day was Christmas because they put that. A lot of people put that fake face on Christmas. I'm going to pretend to be nice and not be a Grinch because I want to act like I care about people. And then, you know, the day after Christmas, they're back to their normal selves. You know, that's not how you help a community or anywhere in the world. I mean, it's.
I'm going to go back to...
I went to Iraq. Yeah. I went to Iraq. I saw little 12-year-old kids with no shoes, literally the same shorts for 2 weeks after selling cigarettes trying to make money for their family. Yeah. In 140-degree weather.
Right.
And you mean to tell me you can't sit there and do something nice for somebody?
Right.
I mean,
right.
That's where I stand on it. It doesn't make any sense.
No. You know, I mean, we could be much nicer. We could be so much more compassionate. The what I was trying to get to is just that you're the mayor, so you're kind of the leader of the police. So if I got a crew, okay, so let's just say I don't know, I'm in charge of Bessemer, okay, so my crew, if my crew hurts somebody or does something bad, I can't. Maybe once I could say it was a mistake, but if they repeatedly do it, I can't vouch for that person. I can't be their friend. I can't be, I feel like that's, as as the mayor, as the leader of the police, if you're stealing, if you're using violence, if you're raping, if you're murdering, these are the worst things. These are the worst crimes out there. And so something has to happen. I think just putting them through the judicial system and let a jury make the decision. Get a jury of our peers. They look at the situation, and especially for murder and rape and, but those are the four worst ones: violence, stealing, rape, and murder. So have you thought of one worse?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, the only thing worse I can think of is not acting on an opportunity to help and create change. I mean, if I step into the mayor's office, of course, the first couple things you got to do is look at finances. Number one, make sure all the finances have been going to the right places. And if not, correcting it and asking these questions. I don't care if it's a leader that's been on the board for 20 years, saying, why has this been like this for the last 10 years without anybody knowing? And so that's what I'm going to do when I first get in there, is jump on board, look at all of the financial stuff and make sure everything's doing good, and then use everything in my power to change stuff. And I know you're sitting there talking about the worst charges, which you're right in that. But there's things you can do that people could have done years ago in Pueblo to kind of tame down the violence, the statistics, the charges, everything.
The corruption.
I mean, how can you look at the same youth every day doing the same things and not act on it and use it as a learning tool? Create programs rather than putting the money elsewhere. I mean, the people are what matter in Pueblo. If I find something that I can do using new technology to help it, I mean, I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump on all over it if it'll help Pueblo. But you have to start with the basis. Everybody, if you start it, if you have a target area of 0 to 10, homelessness, youth with mental problems that can end up homeless, those to me are 10s. Just anything you can possibly do. I literally walked outside. I live on East Evans Avenue. I walked outside the other day, and there's a car that pulled up. 3 guys came out with about 30 years old, had bandanas on, and there's 2 little, had to have been 11, 12-year-old girls walking down the street. Had to have been. I look over and talk to my friend. I look back over there, and 30-something-year-olds are sitting there, rubbing up on the little 11, 12-year-olds, and they're looking around, and they got one person in the car looking around. Things like that in Pueblo, they need to stop. We have a time limit where kids can be out at nighttime. Is it really enforced in Pueblo?
Yeah, they need to get their asses kicked, whoever was doing that.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but we have a curfew in Pueblo. Is it being followed?
I feel like you're
we had one in place the last time I checked.
Maybe, I don't know what the curfew for everybody or just kids. It feels like you're punishing the kids. They should be allowed. Kids should be allowed to play freely, everywhere and anywhere without any threat of any kind of sexual violence or outright violence or kidnapping or anything. They should be safe. They should have security.
Right. Yeah.
So the curfew is one thing, but I feel like I don't know. It pissed me off when you were saying that. We should be allowed to go kick their asses, and maybe as citizens, I should wear a little camera just in case I have to go enforce the law, because that's bullshit. It's hard for me to watch injustice without doing anything about it. In fact, I think the more that we grow accustomed to watching injustice and not doing anything about it, then we kind of train our conscience to accept it, or worse, blame the people, the victims.
Right, yeah. I mean, that's the worst thing you can do is blame the victim. I mean, speaking of rape, because that's one of your top ones you were talking about a while ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I came across, working as a sheriff's deputy, I came across these advocates, these volunteers, just like with the homeless, but they were in charge of helping, rape victims get, literally the day after they raped, helping them, going to the hospital, talking to them, and, it's just a hard thing. They go through so much already.
Right.
But to go and, I don't know, sometimes it just seems like, people that are victims, they have to go through even more, even more. You know, it just never stops.
That's
You know, so
ultimately.
we have to come to.
Yeah, no, you're right. I feel like, okay, there's a victim and there's a criminal. So, like you were talking about earlier, compassion for the gang members, and no, they're not all criminals, but if they have seen some stuff. So I feel like the first thing, they need love too, but the first thing we got to do is pick up the victim, make sure they get justice, make sure they're picked up, make sure they keep on moving. That's the first thing you got to do, because if you can't even do that, you're not doing anything for anybody. Now, whether the criminal needs love or not, you know, we could talk about that later. But the first thing is to make sure that the victim gets justice and is free from, you know, I guess further violence or rape or whatever the case may be.
Right, right.
The politics. What do you think about that word? Is there anything that's not political?
Well, politics is it's just one uniform, you know, group of people in general that are set aside to do certain jobs. The only problem is you know, people can, you know, even police officers, it doesn't matter if you're given a lie detector test, they have ways now where you can get away from around the lie detector test.
Yeah.
You literally have no way. There's no way, shape, or form you can find out if that's a good person or not. You know, they can do a good job for a couple months and then say, hey, I can get away with this. And then the next day, hey, I can get away with this too. You know, they can be going about it all for all the wrong reasons: the salary, the power, the authority.
I think ultimately it's their, you give power to the person and then you just see how they use it over and over again. So they build up their character.
Here's your power, have fun, you know, and, it just depends. That's how it seems like. I mean.
Yeah, no, yeah. Go on.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you've been in a position of authority for, you know, 40 years and you're about to retire. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you have what we need in Pueblo is somebody that's no holds barred, you know, that runs their mouth, that's not afraid to stand up to a fight, you know, as far as, you know, the things that are going on, that's not afraid to stand up and say, hey, we need to change this.
Yeah.
You know, we don't need someone that's going to shut the hell up and just be there in that position just as a placeholder.
As a citizen, give me all the information I need to survive. And give me every piece of information. Give me all the opportunities. Give me all the grants. Give me all the job. Whatever I need to know as a citizen. Yeah. Like what you were saying about how...
Military. When I went to Iraq during the war, they didn't say, here's your M16, go ahead.
Good luck. Have fun.
We trained, and we went to the range, and we trained techniques, and hand-to-hand combat, and all this other stuff. I mean, you can't... I mean, it's stupid. I mean, you have to have your head on straight. But the problem with politics is you can't see through people sometimes. So a lot of people have negative, you know, just negative feedback and thoughts about politics because you don't know who you can trust. Because politically, I mean, facing the United States, we've got a lot of people that, you know, it's pretty much, okay, you know, I promise this, I promise this, I promise this, I promise this. If you have a person, even in Pueblo, that stands up and says, I promise to stop gangs, I promise to, you know, do whatever, you know, in the drug problem. I mean, you know that they're bullshitting right there.
Well, here's what I think. Can you ever trust a weak person to do anything?
No, I mean, if you don't have enough drive in yourself to stick up for yourself and to strive, I mean, you can't. It's just like that old saying: if you can't take care of anybody else unless you can take care of yourself.
I think you have to have some chutzpah. I think you have to have a little bit of a little flavor, a little gasoline, a little fuel to your fire.
Yeah, you have to be different. You can't be one of those people that never jumps. Like I said in my track and field national championship coming up in 2 weeks, I'm doing 4 or 5 events I've never tried in my life before. I'm doing it because most of us are good at what we're afraid of, believe it or not. You know, I was never in track and field when I was younger. One day, a couple years ago, I was like, hey, I'm going to try it out. End up being good at it. I mean, you have to push. You always have to, it doesn't matter how old you are, you have to push towards things. You can't give up. And if you give up, in Pueblo, I'm not saying that I think that we've given up on like things like the homeless and stuff like that, but we're in a place right now where we need to jump on it right now. There's not we can't wait another 3-4 years and then think about voting on it. You know, we have to do it now. I mean, there's no second guessing it, you know?
What do you think about, I agree with you. What do you think about solar trees? Do you know anything about solar trees?
The solar trees?
Yeah.
I mean, certain places, I know they put up a whole bunch of solar trees in, I think it was New Mexico, but they they're going back and forth with it. I think that solar energy is going to be the biggest thing. It is the biggest thing. I don't know, since sliced bread, it's saving a lot of money.
It's the sun.
It's good for the environment.
The sun never runs out either. Yeah, sorry.
What's that?
The sun never runs out of energy either, so it's unlimited energy. As soon as you get solar panels, Germany, 50% of the households in Germany have solar panels on top of them. So once you've got that solar system established, you're going to get electric for the rest of your life. You know, it might not be the full house, but it's at least 50% or something, so...
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. It's convenient. It's making new steps.
Well, it makes me feel like all this sunlight we're just wasting. All the sunlight that's not underneath the solar panels, we're just wasting it on the concrete.
Yeah. If I go to Dollar Tree and we need something for our yard, those little light up things that, you know,
yeah.
I mean, I'd rather get one of those than for $1 Dollar Tree and let the sun power it up and buy batteries, you know what I mean?
I love those things. They're so small, but they're...
I hate when they break. But, yeah, man, it's...
I was curious about one thing. You worked at the El Pueblo Boys and Girls Club?
At the El Pueblo Boys and Girls Ranch, yeah, for about 2 years.
What?
Before I became a sheriff's deputy.
What years was that? Was that, did you see anything?
I didn't. I mean, I saw what happened. I saw that it closed down. I know people that were involved in it, but when I was there, I would have stood up for something if I would have seen any type of abuse whatsoever. I mean, like I said before, that's one of my pet peeves. Like, kids in general, I mean, they're our future.
Yeah.
You know, and being in a spot where, that's why when I was interviewed by the chief the other day, he said, what do you want to be known as when you run for mayor? And I said, a mentor. You know, because I constantly mentor kids and teens and youth and, you know, just people around me, just trying to make their lives better and back on track, because I know how sucky it is not to have anybody to help you. But when I was at El Pueblo, I was there for about 4 months. They made me a supervisor. I was a behavior coach in the direct care staff too, so I gave them their meds and I jumped back and forth and, you know, responded to problems, and when they needed help, they called on me. And, I did everything to the book, you know, to the rules. I never saw anything out the way, you know, that must have started or happened when I left there. But if I would have seen something, I would have jumped all over it, and I would end up quitting that job if I would have seen something that wasn't fixed, so.
Who got the blame for it? I felt like I saw that it closed, and some of the allegations was very disturbing. The county was running it, and we have 3 county commissioners, but I don't feel like anybody got blamed for it. So it's on your resume, so I wouldn't hate for them to be like, well, you're the public face for it now. Who was the CEO? Who was in charge? Who eventually got blamed for all that?
Jimmy Cardinal was the CEO at the time, I believe.
Is he still around, or did he go somewhere else?
I don't know. I think he lives in Pueblo County, but I'm not sure. I mean, it's been years since I worked there, so I haven't stayed in touch with him.
What year was it that you worked there?
What's that?
What year was it that you worked there?
I worked there between 2002 and 2014.
Oh, wow.
No, sorry, 2012 and 2014.
It was like 10 years. I was like, that's a long time.
Holy crap, I didn't go to the military.
Right. What happened to your Iraq war?
I was in a damn different country in 2003.
So for
impossible.
2 years.
I don't know. I'm just glad that DHS got involved, stepped in, and said, hey, you know, and took the kids away from that place. You know, and that's what needs to happen.
Yeah, well, it's a big. It makes me think of, like, I don't know. There's our homeless shelter. There's a Big Rock Candy Mountain. There's, you know, I feel like, I don't know. I just have a. Maybe it's just too precise, but it seems like people don't want homeless people around them. That they bring this and they'll bring that. So put it on the outskirts of town. And then I feel like once you have one place, have it run, you know, managed, you know, professionally. But I think it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like it'd be obvious. It'd be getting everybody out of the way. It'd give them a home. It'd give them a place to go. If you give them a sense of ownership of the thing, then they'll take care of it themselves. And then, you know, eventually once you, I guess, love and support and food, water, clothing, they hopefully get a job and can get themselves up and out. And if not, then I guess we'll just have to keep on taking care of people until they die. But I feel like the alternative, you know, versus there might be some corruption. There might be some corruption with the food stamp program. But I feel like in general, I want people to eat and I want people to have housing and clothing and water. Those are the essentials of life. I don't know. Maslow's hierarchy. Have you come across this thing? Maslow's hierarchy?
Right. Yeah.
It's Maslow's hierarchy of...
What's
Yeah, go ahead.
What's going to happen with all these people, you know, coming... State Fair is one of our biggest aspects here in Colorado. It brings people from all over the state,
Pueblo, yeah.
different states. What's going to happen when the homeless population is so big that people just stop coming because they don't want to deal with the homeless population in Pueblo? I mean, it's not even that. It's just, I mean, that's the best thing I can possibly think of is find one universal area around the town, in the town, where we can put the homeless. But with anything that you do, like me talking to you or me talking to when I go and start doing meetings in Pueblo and telling people my platform and why I want to be mayor, you're never going to have 100%. That's something that people don't realize. You're always going to have someone that's against what you're saying because you can't please everybody. But in the same, just like the homeless thing, if you were to say, hey, we're going to find a place, you're always going to have a Pueblo citizen set up and say, hey, I don't want them in my backyard.
Well, that's okay, good. I'm glad you're bringing this up because my thing is where there's a will, there's a way. So if you have a political will as the mayor, look, we got homeless people and we got to take care of our own. So guess what? Belmont, guess what? Lake Avenue, guess what? All these other places that rejected home, right. We're going to take our share. We're going to have 5 of them and I'm going to distribute them equally around the city because this is a problem we must take care of. Sorry about your luck. If it's in your backyard, you're going to have to learn to get along with people that, I bet they're nice people too. To think that homeless people are criminal just because they're homeless is just as ridiculous, or more ridiculous than to think that gang members are criminal. So just because you don't have a home, that doesn't necessarily means directly, you're going to be robbing, stealing, hurting other people. So I feel like if I had a mayor that has the political will, if we can't find that outskirts homeless shelter off to the side, then we all got to bear the burden equally, and let's get this problem taken care of. So I wanted like a mayor that has the courage to just tell the people, look, sorry about your luck, but we got to take care of it. Unless you got another place, unless you got another building set up, for us to move into, this is what's going to happen.
Right. Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, and you got to think about all the places that's run away, where it's just a stagnant building just sitting there, not doing anything, not serving any purpose, and then you hear, a homeless person died on the streets. I mean,
there's so many buildings that's like that too. I once heard a statistic: 22 empty houses for every homeless person. That's just a coordination failure.
Right.
And then those are houses too. Not alone the buildings. There's a old school building here that's all boarded up. There's lots of like major buildings they're sitting there. I guess what, liability or asbestos or something. I don't know. Right. If you're homeless, are you going to be worried about the code and the regulation? Hell, a shack might be a mansion to you, and that homeless person will take care of that shack, and then that shack will take care of that homeless person. It's good for everybody. It's good for the community. It's good for the homeless person. I don't know. I just feel like people just don't give a damn. If where there's a will, there's a way. And so 22 empty houses per homeless person. That's ridiculous.
You know what? And don't get me wrong. I know a lot of them personally, but there are so many people out there that support helping others. So I'm not putting that past them, but if you have like some that are for it and some that are against it, they're going to clash in the middle eventually. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, if I'm the mayor of Pueblo, I'm going to do everything possible to target these being things that we're talking about, and anything I can see that will benefit Pueblo for the better is going to happen. I'm not going to think about it and put stuff in and not check on it. I'm going to be on it every single day, and that's what I want the Pueblo people to know, man. Is I'm a go-getter. And I'm going to prove. I'm not just talking about it. I'm going to prove it. I'll be out there every day. Like I said before, I don't want to be known as that person that sat in the office. It's in my article in the Chieftain too. He kind of laughed when I said it because I said I'm going to bust my ass every day, and he was like, "Oh, you said ass," but I mean, I'm going to be doing something every single day.
Like he's never heard that word before.
Look at the salary.
Yeah.
Look at the salary. $150,000 a year, and the first term is 5 years. I mean, that salary I never dreamed in my life. Of course, I've been fighting, to do better for my family all the time, but what do you do with $150,000 when your whole life you've been stuck making like, $11, $12 an hour? I don't give what you do is you take the money, and I'll be the first one to admit it. I don't care about the money.
You take the $30,000 and you pay your bills with the $30,000, and then you put your $120 in the bank and you just save it because that's you've never seen that much money, so don't even think about spending it. Just hold it and keep it off to the side, or donate it. But $30,000, just take what you need and then save the rest. That's what I would do.
Yeah, I mean, but
yeah.
It just depends.
Well, like I said, where there's a will, there's a way. So I think the fact that you care about the homeless, that you're concerned about it, that whether or not it's tiny homes, whether it's a big rock candy mountain at the El Pueblo Boys and Girls Club, or a homeless shelter all throughout the neighborhoods, just to spread, spread the misery, spread the pain a little bit amongst everybody. That you'll get it done. You'll get it done. You'll get it accomplished somehow. Then hopefully when there's a homeless person around here, as a Puebloan person, we'll all just know, hey, call this person, at the Department of whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't want to chip in and help, don't complain about it.
I was thinking actually maybe what we need to do to begin with is get an inventory of houses and homes, and get a good number on the homeless too. I feel like there isn't really that many good numbers for all those things. So I would like to get, just on a personal level, just find out how many empty houses are just shuttered, how many of those houses are owned by absentee landlords from New York versus people that's around here, and how many of these buildings are shut, and how many homeless are we actually talking about. The 800, I heard there's 800 kids that are homeless, but they're couch surfing, so it's not like they're living on the streets, but I guarantee you some of these families have kids that's out there amongst. I've seen them actually, so I know that there's some kids probably that are just outright homeless. So get a good number on the homeless situation, get a good sense, go actually and get a good count on them. Don't just scare them away. Get a good count on the empty buildings, and then see if we can make those two things match. That would be the first. I don't know if you need somebody on that. You can get me on board with that.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said before, I even told the chieftain when I came out of as running from there, it takes more than one person. And I had somebody laugh. One of my friends laughed the other day. What do you mean by that? I mean, you can tell the public you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you know. But the one thing you don't want to do is lie to them.
Right.
And any person in the position of power is lying when they say they can do anything, because guess what? Anything can come up. You can't promise somebody something that you can't do. So I mean.
Well, I don't know. As an American, I feel like if you can dream it, you can do it. But I feel what you're saying. Basically, you're saying help along. So maybe what you can say instead of saying, if you got the political will, maybe you don't have the right solutions. But if you got the will to do it, then I think that help me come up with the solutions. Help me come up with the plans. Where there's a will, there's a way. If we can dream it, we can do it. So you want me, to help you on this problem of yours? What can we sit here right now? What can we come up with right now? What can we do?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds cool, man.
And it's about not being afraid to ask for help too. Even as mayor, I mean, you're going to come to points where you don't know what the hell to do.
Well, what if people just need someone to talk to, and that's their problem.
Yeah.
Before they go crazy, you can, maybe diffuse the situation before it happens.
Absolutely.
John, man, it's been an hour. I appreciate talking to you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Not a problem.
All right, I hope, I guess I'll talk to you later, and good luck to you.
Hey, thanks, man. I hope you feel better, too.
Yeah. All right, man. Have a good night.
You too, man.
Bye. John Nevel, everybody.